el desarrollo de nuestra economía y de nuestro futuro como país, ¿qué harías? El 80% del aprendizaje se obtiene a través de la visión. Proporcionar lentes a los niños que lo necesitan les brinda la misma oportunidad que a nosotros de tener éxito. En el futuro pueden ser personas más seguras de sí mismas y mejores profesionistas, incrementando así el Producto Interno Bruto del país. En la Fundación Ver Bien para Aprender Mejor, nos hemos dedicado a brindar atención optométrica y a donar lentes a niños de educación básica en México. Hemos realizado millones de exámenes optométricos y donado millones de lentes, visitando miles de escuelas anualmente. Los lentes que donamos son de la mejor calidad. Nuestros armazones son un diseño exclusivo de Yves Péjar, diseñador industrial reconocido internacionalmente. Los ojos te hacen percibir al mundo. Ayúdanos a seguir cambiando vidas. Si ellos ven bien, tú te ves bien.
¡Jalisco!
Negrita de mis pesares, ojos de papel volando, negrita de mis pesares, ojos de papel volando, a todos diles que sí, pero no les digas cuando así me dijiste a mí, por eso vivo esperando. Guadalajara, 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 tienes el alma de provinciana, hueles a limpia rosa temprana. La verde cara fresca del río, son mis palomas, tu caserío. Guadalajara, Guadalajara, hueles la pura tierra mojada.
¡Ay, mi Guadalajara linda! ¡Es el mi Jalisco!
Ay, 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 Guadalajara hermosa. Quiero decirte una cosa, tú que conservas agua del pozo y en tus mujeres el rebozo. Guadalajara, Guadalajara, eres el alma más mexicana. Ay, 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 ay.
El día de hoy Rosario se fue a dormir sin comer una vez más. Ella como miles de mexicanos, se enfrenta a la dura realidad de vivir con inseguridad alimentaria día con día. Por eso, en 1995 nace la Red de Bancos de Alimentos de México, cuyo propósito es acabar con el hambre en nuestro país, combatiendo la pérdida y el desperdicio de alimentos. Nuestro principio y corazón es el rescate de alimento, ya sea excedente o de donativos de nuestros aliados, para distribuirlo en casi 2.000 instituciones y unas 8.000 comunidades mexicanas. La red BAMEX está compuesta por más de 50 bancos de alimentos, los cuales rescatan productos a lo largo de toda la cadena de valor para llevarlo a quien más lo necesita, y así mejorar la alimentación y nutrición de México. Además, en Red BAMEX somos cofundadores de The Global Food Banking Network, una organización internacional que trabaja por un futuro sin hambre en más de 40 países mediante el mantenimiento, la unión y el fortalecimiento de bancos de alimentos locales. Pero, ¿cómo llevamos el alimento a personas como Rosario? Primero rescatamos el producto excedente de los mercados de abasto, tiendas de autoservicio, campos agrícolas y la industria alimentaria en general. Al igual que recibimos donaciones de alimento, efectivo o tiempo por parte de los aliados con los que contamos la red BAMEX. Los aliados alcanzan sus metas de responsabilidad social y sustentabilidad al colaborar con nuestra organización, además de obtener recibos deducibles por cada contribución que realizan. Después de conseguir los productos, en los bancos de alimentos concentramos todo lo donado y rescatado. Los seleccionamos y dignificamos con la ayuda de más de 5.000 voluntarios para crear paquetes alimentarios. Estos paquetes son diseñados por nutriólogos para poder ofrecer el mejor balance nutricional posible, creando un paquete variado en cada ocasión. Los comités comunitarios, así como los colaboradores de la red BAMEX, hacen llegar los paquetes a las instituciones y comunidades. Finalmente, las familias como la de Rosario, que reciben su paquete alimentario, dan una pequeña cuota de recuperación que por ley no se puede ceder al 10% del valor comercial del paquete alimentario. Esta cuota sirve primero para promover el sentido de dignidad en las personas atendidas, y segundo para cubrir gastos de operación de nuestros bancos. El total de cuotas hace sostenible el modelo de los bancos de alimentos, pudiendo cubrir parte de los gastos operativos y de mantenimiento, como son los sueldos del personal, combustible para rescatar y entregar alimento, etc. Pero en la red BAMEX no solamente nos dedicamos a distribuir alimento, también contamos con programas a través de los cuales desarrollamos en nuestros beneficiarios habilidades para que puedan ser autosuficientes, mejorar su calidad de vida y salir de una situación de inseguridad alimentaria. Es gracias a todos estos esfuerzos que realizamos en la red BAMEX junto con nuestros aliados, que podemos beneficiar a personas como Rosario. Ofrecerles una alimentación nutrida y de calidad, así como una atención integral que les fortalezca. Rosario ya no volverá a irse a dormir sin comer, pues su comunidad ya recibe ayuda del banco de alimentos de su localidad. Sabemos que los bancos de alimentos, trabajando en alianzas, son una solución integral y viable para vencer el hambre en México y cambiar la vida de millones de personas como la de Rosario. Ayúdanos a lograr este objetivo. Dona efectivo, alimento o tiempo, convirtiéndote en voluntario para la red BAMEX. También te invitamos a formar parte de nuestro programa de voluntariado corporativo, donde con tu empresa pueden ayudar a cambiar el futuro de millones de personas. Siempre estamos evolucionando.
Muy buenos días. Sean ustedes cordialmente bienvenidos. Es un gusto para nosotros poder reencontrarnos en este foro privilegiado que une al comercio retail y que tiene como principal objetivo el poder brindar el espacio idóneo para ofrecer verdaderas oportunidades de negocios. Les solicito amablemente a todos los presentes ocupar sus asientos para poder dar inicio con nuestro programa de actividades. Gracias por acompañarnos. Bienvenidos sean a estas 3 jornadas de intensa actividad que ANTAD, con el apoyo de sus asociados y la participación de grandes expositores, ha preparado con el objetivo de consolidar un espacio de encuentros estratégicos que fomentan la economía de nuestro país. Este evento no sería posible sin la participación de tantos proveedores, socios comerciales, de nuestros asociados y, por supuesto, la confianza de nuestros socios estratégicos, así también como los patrocinadores. Es por ello que reconocemos públicamente y agradecemos a todos, a patrocinadores, socios estratégicos, a las autoridades que hoy nos honran con su presencia, a los medios de comunicación, gracias por acompañarnos, y a todos los asistentes. Nuestra gratitud también, como siempre, a la bella ciudad de Guadalajara, que año tras año alberga los trabajos de Expo ANTAD, y al Centro de Exposiciones Expo Guadalajara, que una vez más se convierte en sede de este magno evento. Como es ya una tradición, para el inicio de las actividades de Expo ANTAD, ofrecemos un tema de gran relevancia, actualidad y el mayor interés para todos los que nos distinguen con su amable presencia. Y es así que iniciamos nuestras actividades con la conferencia magna de Next Generation Supply Chain, Building a Collaborative Commerce Network. Esta conferencia será en idioma inglés, por lo cual les informamos que contamos con equipos de traducción simultánea. Agradecemos también la presencia de Célica Suryavará, quien es Head of Ecosystems Partnership Quiet Platforms, quien nos estará acompañando en unos momentos más. Y bueno, pues sin duda agradecemos el esfuerzo de nuestro conferencista, que no nos pudo acompañar físicamente en esta ocasión, pero nos dará su conferencia de manera digital. Y para dar inicio y saludar con gran entusiasmo a nuestro conferencista, Shekhar Natarajan, CEO de Quiet, les dejo con una breve semblanza de su trayectoria.
Expo ANTAD 2023 y Retail Talks presentan a Shekhar Natarajan. Shekhar se unió a American Eagle Outfitters en 2018 para supervisar su cadena de suministro global. En noviembre de 2022, pasó a su puesto actual para dirigir Quiet Platforms, una subsidiaria propiedad total de American Eagle Outfitters Incorporated. Opera una plataforma de cadena de suministro colaborativa impulsada por una capa de orquestación inteligente y unificada. Antes de unirse a American Eagle Outfitters, Shekhar ocupó diversos cargos de liderazgo en las industrias de tecnología y cadena de suministro, incluidas Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Anheuser-Busch, InBev, Walt Disney Company, Walmart y Target. Su carrera de 20 años incluye 70 patentes, 3 libros y el reconocimiento como innovador líder en la cadena de suministro. Bienvenido.
Shekhar, my friend, I understand you had a family emergency, and family always comes first. And we appreciate you taking the time and effort to be with us this morning. And we say hello from Mexico, Shekhar.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to start the presentation by sharing a story with you all. In 2017, I got a call from India, and the call went something like this. My aunt said, listen, your mom is not going to probably make it, and you need to come. And this, incident looked very similar to the one I had in 2005, when my dad passed away in a vegetative coma. And so I rushed back. I spent 3 months with my mom, and I was thinking about life in general, my purpose, And why did I exist? And I looked at all the experience I had. It became pretty evident that I haven't achieved anything in life. I actually went and worked for a lot of great companies. I did a lot of amazing things, but something was missing, and that's when I realized that I got to make a change, not for myself, the company I work, but the industry as a whole. And the reason why I wanted to do is because I come from slums in India. I had $34 in my pocket when I came to United States. I came to take care of my brother who had bipolar depression. And the choice of my university was to stay very close to him. And so that's how I came to United States. And when I came to United States, it's one of the best countries in the world. It didn't matter who I was. It didn't matter where I came from. It didn't matter how I looked. But it gave me a chance to fight. And the reason why I tell these two stories is because I saw retail getting devastated. Not because they don't have good product, but they didn't have good logistics. And that's what I wanted to fix. And so 2018, I joined American Eagle. And what I'm going to present to you is a new modern way of thinking. And this thinking is not just a vision. It is going to be the way of logistics in the future. Okay? With that, let me start the presentation. So I believe 15 years from now, all packages delivered to your door is going to come in containerized shipping like this. What do I mean by that? Just as you had the shipping container revolutionized the trade, the products coming from China, coming from Hong Kong, coming from South America. Now is very efficient in the way it's transported, but the parcel delivery system is not. You still have 10 different packages coming from 10 different brands, delivered by 5 different carriers. And so I have this dream. My dream is to take all packages that are headed to your house and have one container show up. And that's my vision. And why do I say this is the most important innovation for the world? Well, let me break down the economics. When you ship a package from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, which is 150 miles, we spend $10 a pack. This is a mid-retailer. This is not an Amazon. This is not a Walmart. But every other person who's shipping 115 miles for $10. But it takes me 3 cents to bring a product from China to US. And so that's the power of collaboration, right? So where do the world stand at this time? Well, everyone has built a pipe. So think about every brand. A brand makes its product at a factory, and those products are actually getting transported through a series of connections and relationships, which looks like a pipe. That pipe doesn't talk to the next guy's pipe. So everyone has built a pipe, whether it's Walmart, whether it's Amazon, whether it's American Eagle, whether it's basically like Lululemon or Victoria's Secret, any one of those guys. And so when I joined American Eagle, they said, hey, like, welcome. You own the American Eagle supply chain. And I'm like, what do I own? I don't own the factory. I don't own the consolidator. I don't own the ships. I don't own the transloader. I don't own JB Hunt. I don't own the mall. I don't own FedEx. I just own a distribution. I own 250 associates in the distributions. I don't even own the temp agent which works in the warehouse. So this notion and thinking of control is one of illusion. And so everyone is building a pipe, and that pipe is only 60 to 65% utilized. That's a big problem. It's a big problem. And if you look at the scale economies, American Eagle is a $5 billion company. It moves 200 million units. Amazon and Walmart move 80 billion units and 50 billion units. So what American Eagle does in a year is what American Eagle does like 250 times later. So Walmart is able to move the volume of an American Eagle in a day and a half. Amazon is able to move it in half a day. So if people think that they can build infrastructure, they can build warehouses, they can build trucks and compete against Amazon and Walmart, they're just fools. So that was a realization I had in 2017. Okay? And if the world continues the way it is, we would have to make $1.6 trillion in it. We would need 60 million people. In America, last I know, has only 300,000 people coming in. So we don't have people. We would have to build a lot of DCs. We would have to build a lot of FCs. We would have to build a lot of delivery hubs. We would have to dispatch a lot of people. We would have to have a lot of delivery drivers. And the world is not ready for that. This is why we have inflation. Our inflation is not because the consumers are consuming differently. It's because we are responsible. Our thinking is responsible for them. Our old ways of operating is responsible for them. And so that's what I wanted to say. This is my life. This was Uber before Uber in 1997. I used to take a 5 minutes auto rickshaw ride from point A to point B because I couldn't afford it. When my grandmother passed away, we didn't have money for cremation. I lived in a house where we didn't have electricity. I couldn't afford education. And so I couldn't even afford to go from point A to point B without sharing. This comes naturally to us. And so I'm bringing the thinking of sharing to the world of supply chain. What can I share? I can share a factory. I can share a ship. I can share the transloaders. I can share the trans packages. I can share the distribution. I can share the consolidation. I can share the edge fulfillment facilities. And I can share all of the digital. So you come to us. We take all the physical and digital capabilities and put them together. And so this is the concept of a digital mesh for all things physical. But sharing alone is not going to be the answer. You got to orchestrate it. And so when you orchestrate it, the connections you have, the relationships you have, go from very limited connections and relationships to many connections and relationships. It's an any-to-any network. And that's the power of sharing and orchestration. So what am I trying to build? I am trying to build a network which looks like the Internet of Things. And in the Internet of Physical Goods, you have unlimited connections. You can take a unit from one place and move it all the way to the other, which is the doorstep of your house in a very consolidated way. It's like a massive virtual house. And that's what we're trying to build. And so how did I go about it? So in 2018, I presented this. I got the approval to go do this. We saw the benefits in our supply chain. Our supply chain delivery expense, we had a 300 basis point improvement. It's about like $50 million. And our inventory productivity went up by 1,800 basis points. In 2022, it was about 300 basis points. So 300 basis point equals to about $90 million every year. Right? So we justify building this capability and going and buying this capability. And this is quiet. I also bought a transportation company. And this transportation company is very similar to Uber or freight. Everything which is moving in one direction, you're able to pull them together. So you got the fulfillment network where you're fulfilling. You have the transportation network, which pulls all the movement. And then we have the inventory service, which primarily helps you place the inventory in the right place. These three combinations is how American Eagle is able to transform its operations. And so now we bought a business that services many companies like American Eagle. So what I intend to build is an operating system which has this unlimited connections of 3PLs, technology, and infrastructure to be able to access your door at the cheapest possible and have the highest. It's like internet. A LAN goes down, but the data still shows up. How did it show up? It just gets rerouted. How does it get rerouted? It's all one giant network. That's what we are trying to build. Okay? So I'm going to switch for a second to a presentation and kind of explain to you how this works. Right? American Eagles started with 2 DCs. With Quiet, I was able to extend it to 12 DCs. And then I added the inventory services to be able to get the inventory to the edge location. But when I did that, the transportation got deleveraged. So I built a freight network. So I moved the packages for Saks, Steve Madden's, Tilly's, Torrid, Adore Me, all of those companies, along with American Eagle, and all the other brands we service. We service about like 50 brands to pool the inventory, to pool the packages. And the transformative benefit is exactly what I have here. So when you go from 2 nodes to like 16 nodes, your cost is almost half. Your distance is like 1/4. The days in transit is like reduced by 75%. Faster, cheaper, greener, all at the same time. And that's the power of this. And this is what I built for American Eagle. It became quite platform. And so let me kind of recap what I did. So what we did is we took the store, we took the e-commerce, we created omni-channel inventory, decentralized our operations, built tech to access so that we don't have to put capital to innovate. It's an asset-light model. And when I was solving this problem, I figured that the carriers and the logistics part have the same problem. Their problem is the same as mine. They have problem getting access to volume if you're not a national player. They don't have money to invest in tech, and they don't have capital to grow the business. And this is when I realized that I have to build a multi-sided platform. So this is very similar to my story of American Eagle trying to fight the Walmarts and the Amazon to what a carrier is going to be fighting against the FedEx, the UPS, and others. What a wonderful opportunity. You change retail, but you can't change it without changing logistics and the partners. And this was my realization. This story of my discovery seems very similar to what happened to me and what happened to America and what happened to Yellowstone. In Yellowstone, the gray wolves in 1980 started disappearing. In fact, in 1924, about 138 wolves were killed. And you may think, so what? Well, as the wolves disappeared, the elks started growing. They became the predators. And the elks started grazing on aspens and all of the vegetative land. So the beavers couldn't build the dams. So beavers started disappearing. And because the beavers were disappearing, and because there was marshy land, the fish started disappearing. And the coyotes became the biggest predator. The elk for the vegetative land, and coyote for all animals. And the coyote started eating antelopes, foxes, and wolves. And so very soon, the entire ecology got destroyed. The biologists figured the interconnectedness. And so they reintroduced the fox back and the wolf. And the reason why I tell this story is because to preserve the diversity of nature, everyone has to play together. They have to all play together. If someone wins on behalf of others, or at the pretext of other, the world is going to lose. And that's why we are building a collaborative commerce network. I'm not building a company. I'm building a category, and I'm building revolution in logistics. So what does it look like? Well, it's a multi-sided market. And this multi-sided market gives you access to all things logistics with just one plug. The brands win, logistics partner, and the consumer wins. And so this is Quiet Platforms. And quiet is anything but quiet in changing the world. So let me tell you what's the benefit. We have all these brands, we have all these players on our platform. They're called the members. And when I'm able to take all these partners and put them together, we would need 50,000 fewer trucks. We would be traveling 2 trillion fewer miles, 49 billion in savings, and 30% less in carbon emission. What is not good about it? World is a better place with collaboration, not with competition. Brands have to compete on what makes it unique, which is the product, which is the experience, and not on supply chains. I work for Coke. I work for PepsiCo. 99% of Coke and PepsiCo is water. Coke and Pepsi didn't build a reservoir. They didn't build a river or a dam. Water was utility. Supply chain, if you cannot afford it, should be a utility. It's like electricity. Why would you want 5 different companies creating suboptimal scenarios, and you, the consumer, or you, the brand, have to pay for it? It's all in your mind. And so this journey of mine is not for the next 3 months, not for the next year. It's for a decade and a half. And I'm on this crusade. And if any one of you believe that this is the way of the future, come join me. Thank you.
Agradecemos muchísimo la participación de nuestro conferencista y en este momento se abre un espacio para preguntas y respuestas. Si alguien está interesado en preguntar, tenemos el sistema de traducción simultánea, entonces no hay ningún problema si preguntan en idioma español o inglés, porque está la traducción. Estarán pasando algunos micrófonos para la persona que tenga interés en hacer alguna pregunta. Si alguien quiere hacer una pregunta, nada más levanten su mano para que podamos acercarnos con el micrófono. Ok, parece que del lado de allá hay alguien que quiere preguntar. Vamos a escuchar.
Hola, buenos días todavía. ¿Tenemos alguien de la industria en México dentro de esta plataforma o cómo se ve el mercado mexicano en el tema de colaboración de redes? Gracias.
Is there a Mexican company in your platforms? How do you see the collaboration of Mexico in your platforms?
Yeah, great question. So we're going to be launching in Mexico, but to facilitate cross-border trade. And there are advantages of replicating this model in Mexico. Mexico is one of the fastest growing e-commerce country in the world. It has the biggest potential. But e-commerce delivery is super difficult. And so, taking the philosophy of sharing and applying it in Mexico would be my dream to realize. So we are taking a baby step. We're going to come into Mexico, facilitate cross-border trade, and then expand our offering into all of Mexico.
Sí, buenos días. Quería hacerle otra pregunta. ¿Cuál piensa usted que es el mayor reto para poder llegar a esta situación de colaborar de forma masiva entre diferentes sectores de la economía? ¿Está más relacionado con un tema de comunicación, de capacidad tecnológica para comunicarse, o bien está más relacionada con temas de confidencialidad entre las empresas, o alguna otra razón que usted tenga? Gracias.
Hello, good morning. What do you think is the greatest challenge in terms of the collaboration in this massive sector in economy? Do you think it's a matter of communication? Do you think it's a matter of capacity in terms of technology, or is it a matter of confidentiality and trademarks, proprietary information?
It's a fantastic question. Trust is the biggest problem. Trust that the operator of this platform is going to be neutral, is going to be unbiased, and is going to protect the intellectual property. That's number one. The second one is control, or lack of. People think they have control, but they don't. So it's really a mind thing. If you're able to get over it, then you can collaborate. It's like Uber. You know, if you thought, why should I let a stranger in my car? You would never be okay with it. But you did. It's like Airbnb. If you thought, why should I let someone in my house? But you did. And so this is less intrusive than sharing a car, sharing your house, is sharing supply chain. And so that's the crux of the story. The third is primarily excellence in service. You can make promises, but you got to deliver it. And so far, we've been good on that promise. We've been good on neutrality, and we're working on the illusion of control.
Another question. First, many congratulations on this concept and bringing it to a reality. It's fantastic. Is this only for You're welcome. Is this only for dry goods, or does it also include perishable products like fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, that kind of thing? And if not, is there an opportunity to include so in the future?
Today it's dry goods, but all things physical needs to be included. Why is that? Because our lives have moved from shopping at the store to getting to your home. You're buying a basket of many different items. So having a universal concept across all strata, across all categories, would be the way of the future. And it would be the most efficient. It's a complicated problem, but can be solved. Groceries and the grocery operators they are experimenting with micro-fulfillment. Apparel has not gone right. CPG is there, but for DSD, direct store delivery. So people are experimenting. Now bringing all of them together and having one edge network fulfill that would be the most efficient way to do it. So I believe the world will get there. But we are not there because I have to go after a segment in a category that there's clearly an opportunity. And it's closer to the home game, which is American Eagle, which is apparel, accessorials, small form factor.
No sé si hay más preguntas por parte de nuestro auditorio. Sí, una más al fondo.
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm a fashion designer and a student, so I admire so much. Like a month ago, I see a documental that calls The True Cost. I don't know if you, I think that you also already see that documental. So it's very important so you are talking about the ecosystem, that it's very important, but I have a question about the people that manufacturing your clothes. So where do you produce the most of the American Eagle clothes, and how do we with success to take care about the people who manufacture the clothes? Because it's more like a human thing, you know? The environment, it's so important, but the human rights are so important also. And I have that question.
Yeah. A great question. We take a lot of pride in the products we make, where we make them, and how we make them. In fact, American Eagle doesn't even source cotton from unreliable sources. So, we talk about in our sustainability. Every one of our factories is where we go visit, we audit, we make sure we have social compliance, we have international labor standards, and we also ensure a quality is maintained. Coming to where we manufacture. Manufacture China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Jordan, and we also have production in Guatemala, South American countries. So we are spread out in 28 countries, and over the last 5 years or so, we have reduced our reliance on China. It's about 20% or less. So we have an amazing sourcing. We also have great social compliance program. And we build sustainability into every one of the manufacturing processes. Whether it's the wash, whether it's the fabric, it's the trim, it's the material, where and how it's manufactured, and the tracking of all the different tiers in the supply chain. Thank you for asking that question.
Pues ya solamente tenemos tiempo para una última pregunta. No sé si alguien más quiere hacer esta última pregunta. Al parecer, ya no hay más preguntas. Bueno, pues queremos agradecer muchísimo a nuestro conferencista, a Shekhar Natarajan, su importante participación, y le pedimos con mucho orgullo al embajador don Sergio Ley nos acompañe a este escenario para que nos haga favor de entregar el reconocimiento en ausencia y en representación precisamente de Shekhar Natarajan. Recibe este reconocimiento Célica Suryavará. Pues así, con este fuerte aplauso agradecemos muchísimo a nuestro conferencista, despedimos este enlace, muchísimas gracias, y a todos ustedes les invito por favor a que permanezcan en sus lugares y que nos acompañen a la ceremonia inaugural de Expo ANTAD 2023, la cual iniciaremos de manera inmediata.